Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week I'm going to talk a little bit about the guy that you can see in the old photograph on the left of the screen. This is Emile Bernard. Specifically, I want to talk about how he co-developed two art movements, Cloisonnism and Synthetism. I say co-developed, there was also Gauguin was involved in this as well. On screen you can see a couple of examples of Cloisonnism. So you have these flat or flat-ish areas of color bounded by dark outlines. For me, it's not something that really influences my art, Cloisonnism, especially with watercolor landscapes. I prefer loose watercolor, and Cloisonnism is not a loose style. It has a very, the edges are very strong, very well defined. So although Cloisonnism didn't influence me directly as far as watercolor landscapes go, Synthetism did. So the rest of this video I'll talk a bit about what this Synthetism actually is, what it means. It has a certain amount in common with Cloisonnism, but Cloisonnism, as I said, was a sort of painting style. Flat areas of color bounded by dark lines. It's kind of influenced by the Japanese ukiyo-e, those woodblock prints, also by European medieval art, and even stained glass windows all had some influence on that style. Synthetism is different. It's not a painting style as such, it's more of a sort of background philosophy, a way of thinking about making art. And it has influenced the way that I paint watercolors. And the rest of this video you're going to see me doing a little watercolor painting. So Synthetism, you're synthesizing, you're bringing together three different ideas into one approach to making art. So you start with the outer form, what the subject actually looks like. You know, is it an apple, a person, a landscape, whatever it is? What does it actually look like? And that's your starting point. In that sense, it's the same as, say, realism or naturalism. You're starting from that same point. However, it very quickly diverges. So naturalism, for example, the whole goal of naturalism is, as the name implies, to look natural. So really it relies heavily on drawing skills, painting skills, and you're trying to make your drawing, your painting look as close as possible to the original subject. There's no room for imagination or going off and doing your own thing. For example, with colors in naturalism, you choose the colors based on what you can actually see, not what you would like the colors to be or any sort of artistic license. None of that sort of nonsense with naturalism. It's just what you see is what you get. Synthetism is different. So yes, you're starting with the subject and what it looks like, but then Synthetism encourages the artist to interpret that. So how do you feel about the subject? What are your thoughts about the subject? And can you communicate that? Can you convey that to the viewer through the use of color and lines and so on? The third part about Synthetism, and this is something that really I'm a big fan of, is art is a decorative thing. It's not just an illustrative thing. It's not just you're not just documenting the real world. You're not just creating images that, you know, represent things in the real world. To me, art is more than that. It has this decorative side. And it has this personal side. How do you feel about the subject? And trying to communicate that to the viewer. So to me, Synthetism is a much deeper approach to art. It's just a more complete approach to art compared to, say, naturalism, that to me is very detail, surface orientated. It's just illustrating, just documenting what we see in the real world. Synthetism goes beyond that, and it's more what you as the artist, what's your relationship to the art? How do you feel about it? What do you think about it? To me, it's much more interesting approach to making art. So anyway, it has influenced the way I make art. So with a watercolor landscape, like you can see on screen, the colors are not natural. Yeah, they're somewhat representative, but they're certainly not natural. You don't get blue hedgerows and trees. The grass is not really that yellow and green. It's just there's a lot of artistic license going on here, and it's mainly for aesthetic, decorative reasons. And also there's a bit of symbolism and things in there as well. But anyway, that's sort of roughly speaking what Cloisonnism and Synthetism are, and how they influenced or didn't influence me and this guy Emile Bernard. He's a very interesting artist. He was friends with Vincent van Gogh, Gauguin, Cézanne, Toulouse-Lautrec, a whole bunch of artists from that sort of post-impressionist late 1800s sort of period. And really, this Cloisonnism and Synthetism are really the roots, the beginnings of modern art, in my opinion. Anyway, you made it this far in the video. Thank you for watching, listening, and hopefully see you again in next week's video.